My name is Kendra. I'm 29 years old, and my sister boarded a plane to Paris on the morning of my wedding. She thought I was marrying some broke nobody and laughed that my sad little ceremony wouldn't even be worth attending. What she didn't know was who was waiting for me at that altar. Before I tell you about the look on her face when she found out the truth, let me know where you're watching from. Drop a like and subscribe if you've ever been underestimated by family. Because what happened at my reception changed everything between us forever. I live in Boston, Massachusetts, and work at the Boston Public Library as an assistant librarian. My salary is $45,000 a year. I rent a studio apartment in Jamaica Plain and take the T train to work every morning. My life has always been simple, modest, and quiet. But that's exactly how my sister Lydia wanted it. She needed me to stay small so she could feel big. Lydia is 5 years older than me. From the moment we were kids, she was the golden child. Our parents enrolled her in private school while I attended public school. They said it was because Lydia had special talents that needed nurturing. When Lydia turned 18, she won Miss Massachusetts Teen. I remember watching from the audience as she walked across that stage in a glittering gown tiara perched on her perfectly styled blonde hair. Everyone applauded. I clapped too, but something inside me felt hollow. Lydia works in marketing for a cosmetics company called Luxe Beauty Inc. She makes $120,000 a year. She lives in a penthouse in Back Bay and drives a BMW. Her Instagram feed is filled with photos of designer handbags, luxury brunches, and exotic vacations. Every post is carefully curated to show the world how successful she is. Growing up in her shadow taught me to accept second place. On Lydia's birthdays, our parents threw elaborate parties with magicians and pony rides. On my birthdays, we had quiet family dinners at home. When Lydia graduated high school, Mom and Dad bought her a car. When I graduated college, they gave me a leather handbag. It was a nice bag, don't get me wrong, but the difference was clear. I learned not to expect much. I learned to celebrate quietly. I learned that my accomplishments would always be overshadowed by whatever Lydia was doing. And honestly, I thought I had made peace with it. Until I met Ethan. 2 years ago, a man walked into the library looking for a book about 17th century Italian architecture. He was tall with brown hair and wire-rimmed glasses. He wore jeans, a simple sweater, and sneakers. Nothing about him screamed wealth or status. He was just a guy looking for a book. I helped him find what he needed, and we started talking. His name was Ethan Crawford. He was 32 years old and had an easy smile that made me feel comfortable. We talked about books about Boston, about our favorite coffee shops. Before he left, he asked if I wanted to grab coffee sometime. I said yes. Our first date was at a small cafe near the library. Ethan drove up in an old Toyota Camry. We ordered regular drip coffee, nothing fancy. We sat by the window and talked for 3 hours. He told me he worked in tech but didn't elaborate much. I told him about my job at the library and my love for classic literature. He listened like every word I said mattered. We started dating. Our dates were simple. We walked along the Charles River. We had picnics at Boston Common. We watched independent films at the Coolidge Corner Theater. Ethan never suggested expensive restaurants or flashy activities. He seemed content with the simple things just like me. I fell in love with him because he was kind, smart, and genuine. He made me laugh. He remembered small details about my life. He never made me feel like I had to be anyone other than myself. 6 months into our relationship, Ethan asked me to come over to his apartment. I had never been there before. We always met in public places or hung out at my studio. When I arrived at the address he gave me, I was confused. It was a modern building in the Seaport district. The lobby had marble floors and a doorman. Ethan met me at the elevator. We rode up to the 15th floor. He opened the door to a spacious 2-bedroom apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Boston Harbor. The furniture was minimalist, but clearly expensive. I stood in the middle of his living room trying to process what I was seeing. Ethan sat me down on his couch and took my hands in his. "I need to tell you something about what I do," he said. His voice was nervous. "I'm the founder and CEO of a tech startup called Neuralink Solutions. We specialize in AI and data analytics. Last year we closed a Series C funding round. The company was valued at $80 million. I own 45% of it. My net worth is around $36 million. I stared at him. My mind went completely blank. This man who drove a beat-up Camry and drank regular coffee and wore sneakers everywhere was a millionaire? Actually, a multimillionaire. "I know this is a lot," Ethan said quickly, "and I need you to understand why I didn't tell you sooner. I've been burned before by people who only cared about my bank account. When I met you, I wanted to make sure you loved me for me, not for what I have. These past 6 months have been the happiest of my life because you treated me like a normal person. You never asked for anything. You never expected anything. You just loved me. And that's when I knew you were real." I didn't know what to say. Part of me was shocked. Part of me was overwhelmed. But mostly, I felt grateful. Grateful that he trusted me enough to share this. Grateful that he wanted to protect what we had built together. "I understand," I finally said, "and I appreciate you telling me. But it doesn't change how I feel about you. You're still the same person who talked to me about architecture books in the library." "That's the person I fell in love with." Ethan smiled, relief washing over his face. He pulled me into a hug. We sat there on his couch for a long time, holding each other. After that night, we talked about how to move forward. Ethan wanted to be open about his wealth, but I asked him to keep it quiet from my family. I wanted them to accept him for who he was, not what he had. I was tired of everything in my life being compared to Lydia's standards. I didn't want my relationship to become another thing she could judge or compete with. Ethan agreed, though he didn't fully understand my reasoning at the time. 1 year later, Ethan proposed. He did it at the library in the exact spot where we first met. He got down on one knee between the shelves of history books and asked me to marry him. The ring was beautiful, a simple one, carat diamond. I said yes, without hesitation. I introduced Ethan to my family as my boyfriend who works in tech. That was technically true. My parents, Richard and Susan Campbell, were both retired. Dad had been an accountant. Mom had been an elementary school teacher. They lived in a modest house in Brookline where they had raised Lydia and me. They were good people, but they had always played favorites. And the favorite was never me. When they met Ethan, they were polite and welcoming. Dad shook his hand firmly. Mom hugged him and said she was happy for us. But they didn't ask many questions about his job or his background. To them, he was just Kendra's fiancé. Nothing special, nothing extraordinary. Lydia met Ethan once at a family dinner. She looked him up and down with barely concealed judgment. His jeans, his casual button-down shirt, his simple sneakers. After dinner, she pulled me aside in the kitchen. "Are you sure about this guy?" she asked. "He seems ordinary." I told her I loved him, and that was all that mattered. She rolled her eyes. "Well, just don't expect me to help pay for the wedding when he can't afford it," she said. I didn't respond. I just let her believe whatever she wanted to believe. Ethan and I decided to get married in June. We picked a Saturday the 22nd. From the beginning, Ethan wanted to plan something big and beautiful. He had the resources to make it spectacular, but I was hesitant. If we had an extravagant wedding, my family would ask questions. They would wonder how we could afford it. I wasn't ready to deal with those conversations yet. "Let's tell them the truth then," Ethan suggested one evening as we sat in his apartment planning the wedding. I shook my head. "Not yet. I want them to accept you for who you are, not what you have. I want this day to be about us, not about money." Ethan respected my wishes, but he had one condition. "Okay," he said, "but I get to plan a few surprises for the reception." Nothing that will give away my net worth beforehand. Just some things that will make the day special, and maybe teach a certain someone a lesson. I agreed, not fully understanding what he had in mind. We decided to hold the ceremony and reception at the Liberty Hotel in Boston. It's a 5-star hotel that was converted from the historic Charles Street Jail. The building has incredible architecture, with soaring ceilings and original brick walls. Ethan rented out the entire venue for the day. The cost was $150,000. But when my family asked about the location, I simply said we found a historic venue, and Ethan got a good deal through a work connection. They didn't press for details. I sent out 50 invitations to close family and friends. Lydia received hers in the mail 3 months before the wedding. It was a simple but elegant card on high-quality paper. The date was clearly printed Saturday, June 22nd. 2 weeks after I sent the invitations, we had a family dinner at my parents' house. Lydia arrived late as usual, carrying shopping bags from expensive stores. She dropped them by the door and joined us at the dining table. Halfway through the meal, she made an announcement. "I have exciting news," she said, her voice bright with false enthusiasm. "I'm going to Paris." Mom clapped her hands together. "That's wonderful, sweetie." "When June 20th to June 25th, Lydia said. "It's a work trip, but I'm staying a few extra days to explore the city." My fork froze halfway to my mouth. June 20th to 25th. That span included June 22nd. My wedding day. "Lydia," I said slowly, "that's my wedding weekend." She looked at me with wide, innocent eyes. "Oh, is it? I completely forgot." She was lying. I could see it in the way her mouth twitched at the corners. She knew exactly what she was doing. Dad frowned. "Lydia, can't you change the dates?" "It's a work trip, Dad," she said with a theatrical sigh. "I can't control the schedule. Besides, I already booked my hotel, the Plaza Athénée, 5 stars. You know how hard it is to get reservations there." Mom looked between us, clearly uncomfortable. "But it's your sister's wedding." "I'm sure Kendra understands," Lydia said, turning to me with a patronizing smile. "Career comes first, right, Kenny?" She knew I hated being called Kenny. She had used that nickname my entire childhood to diminish me. Hearing it now in this context felt like a slap. "It's fine," I said quietly, even though it wasn't fine at all. "I understand." After dinner, I went home and checked Lydia's Instagram. 2 weeks earlier, before she even received my invitation, she had posted about planning a Paris trip. The caption read, "Treating myself to Paris in June. Some of us work hard enough to afford it." The implication was clear. She was taking this trip specifically to miss my wedding. Over the next 2 months, Lydia's social media became a constant reminder of her upcoming trip. She posted photos of designer dresses she bought for Paris. She posted screenshots of her hotel reservation and restaurant bookings at Michelin-starred establishments. Every post was timed to coincide with my own wedding updates. When I shared a photo of my bouquet inspiration, she commented, "Cute. Too bad I'll miss it." When I posted a picture of my wedding dress fitting, she wrote, "Hope it fits the budget." 1 week before the wedding, we had one final family dinner. Lydia dominated the conversation with talk of Paris. "So, Kenny," she said at one point, turning her attention to me. "How's the wedding planning going? Getting stressed about costs?" "Everything's going well," I replied evenly. "Where are you having the reception again?" "Some community hall. The Liberty Hotel," I said. Her eyebrows shot up. "Really? That place is expensive. Did Ethan take out a loan?" I didn't answer. Ethan, sitting beside me, squeezed my hand under the table. "Well, I'm sure it'll be nice," Lydia continued, "even if it's small." "We're having 50 guests," I said. 50? That's adorable. My wedding will have at least 200. When I find the right guy who can afford it, of course. Lydia was 34 and had never been in a serious relationship. She went on dates with wealthy men, but never seemed to connect with anyone on a real level. Still, she spoke about her hypothetical future wedding, as if it were already more important than my actual wedding happening in 1 week. I drove home that night, feeling a familiar heaviness in my chest. Ethan noticed. "Don't let her get to you," he said gently. "In 1 week, everything is going to change." "What do you mean?" I asked. "You'll see," he said with a mysterious smile. "Just trust me." The morning of Saturday, June 22nd, I woke up at 6 o'clock in my suite at the Liberty Hotel. Ethan had booked separate rooms for us the night before. I stayed in a beautiful suite with my bridesmaids, Naomi and Claire, my 2 closest friends from college. They had arrived the night before, and we had spent the evening laughing and reminiscing about old times. When I reached for my phone on the nightstand, I saw dozens of notifications. Messages from friends wishing me congratulations, texts from relatives saying they couldn't wait to see me walk down the aisle, and one Instagram notification from Lydia. I opened the app with a sense of dread. Lydia had posted a photo from Logan International Airport. She was posing in front of a departures board that clearly showed Paris CDG. She wore designer athleisure, carried a Louis Vuitton duffel bag, and had Chanel sunglasses perched on her head. The caption made my stomach turn. "Off to Paris, while some people are having their little weddings today. Priorities right, au revoir, Boston." The hashtags were even worse. Hashtag Paris life. Living my best life. Work hard, play hard. Sorry, not sorry. The post had been uploaded at 6:15 in the morning. Her flight was scheduled to depart at 8. She had timed this perfectly to make sure I saw it before my wedding ceremony. Naomi walked into the bedroom carrying a tray of coffee and pastries from the hotel restaurant. "Morning, bride. How are you feeling?" I handed her my phone without saying a word. She looked at the screen and her face darkened. "Are you kidding me? She posted this today." Claire came in behind her, saw the post and shook her head in disbelief. "What a piece of work." "It's fine," I said, taking a deep breath. "Today is about me and Ethan, not about Lydia." "You're way more gracious than I'd be," Naomi said, setting down the tray and giving me a hug. I spent the next several hours getting ready. A hairstylist came to the suite at 7 and created an elegant low bun with soft pieces framing my face. A makeup artist followed, giving me a natural but polished look with subtle smoky eyes and nude lips. At noon, I put on my wedding dress. It was a Vera Wang gown, simple but stunning. The bodice was fitted with delicate lace detail, and the skirt flowed into a chapel-length train. Ethan had insisted on buying it for me, though I told my family it cost $3,000 when it actually cost $12,000. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. I looked like a bride. I looked happy. I looked like someone who deserved to be celebrated. My mom arrived at 10. She knocked softly on the suite door, and Naomi let her in. When Mom saw me, she started crying immediately. "You look so beautiful, sweetheart," she said, pulling me into a careful hug so as not to mess up my dress or makeup. "Thanks, Mom," I said, fighting back my own tears. "I'm so sorry about Lydia," she whispered. "I don't know why she's being like this." "It's okay," I said, even though it wasn't. She made her choice. Mom pulled back and looked at me with sad eyes. "You deserve better from your sister." Dad arrived at 11. He was wearing his best suit, a navy blue one he had owned for 20 years. When he saw me, he stopped in his tracks. "My little girl is getting married," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Dad, don't make me cry," I said with a shaky laugh. "I just did my makeup." He walked over and kissed my forehead. "Ethan is a good man. I can see how much he loves you." "I love him too," I said. "That's all that matters," Dad replied. "And I mean that. I don't care if he's rich or poor. I care that he treats you right. And he does." I nodded, grateful for my father's words, even if he still didn't know the full truth about Ethan. Meanwhile, in another suite across the hotel, Ethan was getting ready with his groomsmen. His older brother Marcus, who was 35 and worked as a corporate lawyer, was his best man. His two close friends, Dev Patel, the chief technology officer at Neuralink, and James Kim, a venture capitalist, rounded out the groomsmen. Ethan wore a Tom Ford tuxedo that fit him perfectly. He looked confident and calm. "Ready for the big day?" little brother Marcus asked, adjusting his own tie in the mirror. "More than ready," Ethan replied. "I can't wait to marry her." "Did you finalize the surprise?" Dev asked with a grin. "Everything's set," Ethan said. "Kendra has no idea. And her sister really went to Paris?" James asked, incredulous. "Yep, posted about it this morning," Ethan said, pulling out his phone to show them Lydia's Instagram post. Marcus read the caption and whistled. "What kind of person skips their sister's wedding? The kind who's about to learn a very important lesson," Ethan said. "I still can't believe Kendra wanted to keep your wealth a secret," Dev said. "She wanted her family to accept me. For me," Ethan explained. "I respect that, but I'm tired of watching them treat her like she's less than. Especially her sister." "Today's going to change everything," Marcus said. "That's the plan?" Ethan replied, looking at his watch. It was 1 in the afternoon. The ceremony would begin at 3. He checked in with the wedding planner one more time to confirm that everything was in place for the surprise he had been planning for months. Everything was ready. At 3 o'clock, the ceremony began in the courtyard of the Liberty Hotel. The space was breathtaking. The original brick walls of the old jail had been preserved, giving the venue a sense of history and character. White roses, peonies, and orchids adorned every surface. An archway of flowers stood at the altar where Ethan would wait for me. 50 white chairs were arranged in 2 sections, creating an aisle down the middle. The guests had already taken their seats. Many of them were whispering among themselves about how beautiful and expensive the venue looked. Relatives from my side of the family exchanged confused glances. "I didn't know they could afford this place," I heard one aunt murmur. "Where did Ethan say he works again?" an uncle asked. A string quartet began playing Pachelbel's Canon in D. The bridesmaids walked down the aisle first. Naomi and Claire looked stunning in their dusty blue dresses. The groomsmen followed, standing opposite them at the altar. Then the music changed to the bridal march. I appeared at the entrance to the courtyard, my arm linked through my father's. Every head turned. Guests stood. I could hear gasps and see smiles, but all I saw was Ethan. He stood under that flower arch, his hands clasped in front of him, looking at me like I was the only person in the world. Dad and I walked slowly down the aisle. With each step, I felt lighter. The weight of Lydia's absence, of her cruel Instagram post, of all the years of being second best, all of it started to fade. Because in that moment, I was first. I was the bride. I was the one being celebrated. We reached the altar, and Dad placed my hand in Ethan's. "Take care of my girl," Dad whispered. "Always," Ethan whispered back. The officiant, Reverend Patricia Holmes, began the ceremony. She spoke about love, commitment, and partnership. She read a passage about 2 people becoming one. Then it was time for the vows. Ethan went first. "Kendra," he began, his voice steady but emotional. "From the moment I met you in that library, I knew you were special. Not because of where you came from or what you had, but because of who you are. You're kind, intelligent, and genuine. You see me for me. You loved me when you thought I was just a regular guy with a beat-up car and a love for old books. And that's when I knew you were the one. I promise to spend every day showing you how much you mean to me. I promise to support your dreams, celebrate your wins, and stand by you through every challenge. I promise to love you exactly as you are for the rest of my life." Tears streamed down my face. I read my own vows, promising to love him through every season, to be his partner and his friend, to build a life together based on trust and respect. We exchanged rings, simple platinum bands that symbolized our commitment. I now pronounce you husband and wife, Reverend Holmes announced. You may kiss your bride. Ethan pulled me close and kissed me as everyone applauded and cheered. In that moment, I was completely happy. After the ceremony, guests were directed to the ballroom for the reception. When the double doors opened, people gasped. The ballroom at the Liberty Hotel was stunning. The space had been part of the old jail, but was now transformed into an elegant event venue. The ceilings soared 15 feet high. Massive crystal chandeliers hung from above, casting warm light across the room. 5 round tables were set up, each draped in white silk tablecloths. The centerpieces were 3 feet tall arrangements of roses and orchids in crystal vases. Each place setting had china plates with gold trim, multiple pieces of silverware, and a menu card printed on embossed paper. The menu listed appetizers like pan-seared scallops and truffle mushroom soup. Main courses included filet mignon and Chilean sea bass. Dessert would be a 4-tier wedding cake from Flour Bakery, one of Boston's most renowned bakeries. An open bar stretched along one wall, staffed by professional bartenders in crisp white shirts and black vests. Top-shelf liquor lined the shelves. A jazz quartet set up in the corner, playing soft background music. My relatives stood frozen just inside the entrance, mouths open. This must cost a fortune, I heard my mom whisper to my dad. How did they afford this? Dad whispered back, equally confused. Guests began taking photos and posting them to social media immediately. An aunt pulled out her phone and started a video. I thought Kendra was marrying a regular guy, she said to the camera. My Uncle Frank shook his head in amazement. This is the Liberty Hotel. This is not regular guy money. Dinner was served and it was exquisite. Every course was perfectly prepared. Guests raved about the food. During the meal, my mother approached the head table where Ethan and I sat. Sweetheart, this is beautiful, she said. But how did you... Ethan smiled warmly. Mrs. Campbell, can we talk after dinner? I have something to share with everyone. Mom nodded, her curiosity clearly piqued. Dad watched Ethan with new eyes, beginning to realize that his son-in-law was not who he appeared to be. After dinner, the toasts began. Marcus stood up with a microphone. I'm Marcus, Ethan's older brother, he said. And I have to say, I've never seen my brother happier than when he's with Kendra. Ethan is the smartest, most driven person I know. He built a company from scratch. But his greatest achievement is winning Kendra's heart. To the bride and groom, everyone raised their glasses and cheered. But several people had caught the phrase, built a company from scratch. Whispers spread through the room. Naomi gave her toast, next speaking about our friendship and how much I deserved this happiness. Then the jazz quartet began playing our first dance song. Ethan and I walked onto the dance floor. He held me close as we swayed to the music. I could feel everyone watching us, but I only focused on him. This is perfect, I whispered. Thank you for making today so special. It's about to get even better, he whispered back with a mischievous smile. After our first dance, Ethan walked over to where the band was set up and picked up a microphone. Can I have everyone's attention, please? He said. His voice carried across the ballroom. Conversation stopped. All eyes turned to him. First, thank you all for being here to celebrate with Kendra and me. Your presence means the world to us, Ethan began. I want to address something that I know many of you are wondering. How did a guy like me afford a wedding like this? There was nervous laughter from the crowd. The truth is, I've been keeping a secret, Ethan continued. Not because I'm ashamed, but because I wanted to protect something precious. He looked at me, and I gave him an encouraging nod. I knew this moment was coming, but I still felt my heart racing. My name is Ethan Crawford, and I'm the founder and CEO of Neuralink Solutions, an AI data analytics company. Several guests gasped. A few people pulled out their phones and started Googling the company name immediately. Last year, our company was valued at $80 million after our Series C funding round, Ethan said. I share this not to brag, but to explain why Kendra wanted to keep it quiet. When we started dating, I was terrified she would only see my bank account. But she fell in love with me when she thought I was just a regular guy who liked books and bad coffee. More laughter this time, more genuine. She never asked for anything, never expected anything. She just loved me, Ethan said, his voice full of emotion. And that's when I knew she was the one. So today, I want to celebrate not just our marriage, but the woman who taught me that real love isn't about what you have. It's about who you are. My mom had her hand over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. My dad stared at Ethan with wide eyes, clearly processing this new information. Relatives whispered frantically to each other. Now there's someone who couldn't be here today. Ethan continued, his tone shifting slightly. Kendra's sister Lydia chose to go to Paris instead. The room went quiet. The energy changed. People shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Lydia didn't think our wedding was worth attending, Ethan said. She assumed we couldn't afford anything nice. She posted on social media this morning that Kendra would be celebrating alone at a sad little ceremony. More gasps. My mom looked mortified. Several guests pulled out their phones to check Lydia's Instagram. So I prepared a little something for Lydia, Ethan said. With Kendra's permission, of course. He gestured to the band. A large projection screen lowered from the ceiling. The lights dimmed slightly. A video began to play. It was a montage of the entire day. Clips of the courtyard ceremony with the beautiful flower arrangements and elegant guests. A slow pan across the ballroom, showing the crystal chandeliers and luxury table settings. Close-up shots of the gourmet food being served. Footage of guests laughing and dancing. Clips of me in my Vera Wang gown, looking radiant and happy. Then the video cut to a pre-recorded message from Ethan. He was sitting in what looked like his office, dressed casually. Hi Lydia, Ethan said in the video. Sorry you couldn't make it to Paris. I mean to the wedding. Just wanted to show you what you missed. This is the Liberty Hotel, 5 stars. The wedding cost about $150,000. Oh, and the honeymoon. We're going to the Maldives for 2 weeks. Private overwater villa. Should be nice? The guests in the ballroom were riveted, watching with a mixture of shock and delight. I hope Paris is everything you dreamed of, Ethan continued in the video. Oh, and one more thing. He leaned closer to the camera, his expression serious. I've been in touch with your company's CEO, Gregory Walsh. Turns out that work trip to Paris wasn't mandatory. You could have moved the dates. You just chose not to. Your CEO sends his congratulations, by the way. He's a friend of mine. We went to MIT together. The video ended. The screen went black. For a moment, the ballroom was completely silent. Then someone started clapping. Then another person. Within seconds, the entire room erupted in applause and cheers. Some people were laughing. Others were shaking their heads in disbelief. Naomi jumped up from her seat and shouted, "That's what I'm talking about!" Claire was laughing so hard she had tears in her eyes. "I cannot believe you just did that," she said to Ethan. My parents rushed over to the head table. My mom wrapped her arms around me. "Honey, I had no idea," she said. "About Ethan, about any of this." "I know, Mom," I said. "I wanted you to love him for who he is, not what he has." "I do," she said. "I'm just so sorry about Lydia. I'm mortified by her behavior." Dad shook Ethan's hand firmly. "I owe you an apology, son. I underestimated you." "No apology needed, sir," Ethan replied. "You raised an incredible daughter. That's all that matters to me." "You're a good man," Dad said, and I could see genuine respect in his eyes now. Relatives began approaching us. My Aunt Teresa hugged me tightly. "We're so happy for you, Kendra. My Uncle Frank patted Ethan on the back. "Your sister is going to regret missing this," he said. My friend Diana from the library was grinning from ear to ear. "Girl, you've been holding out on us. I wanted a normal relationship," I explained with a laugh. "This is better than normal," Diana replied. Within minutes, guests started posting about the wedding on social media. Photos of the ballroom flooded Instagram and Facebook. Videos of Ethan's announcement were shared across platforms. Someone created a hashtag #CrawfordWedding. It started trending in Boston within the hour. One guest posted a photo with the caption, "When you think someone is marrying broke, but actually marrying a tech CEO millionaire. Karma is real." The video message meant for Lydia was recorded by several guests on their phones and began circulating online. By the end of the night, it had been viewed thousands of times. While all of this was happening in Boston, Lydia was in Paris. Due to the time difference, Paris is 6 hours ahead of Boston. When my wedding ceremony took place at 3 in the afternoon Boston time, it was 9 at night in Paris. When our reception happened at 6 in the evening, it was midnight in Paris. Lydia was asleep in her room at the Hotel Plaza Athénée, completely unaware of what was unfolding back home. She woke up Sunday morning at 8. In Boston, it was 2 in the morning. The reception had ended just a few hours earlier. Lydia reached for her phone on the nightstand, planning to scroll through Instagram while she had her morning coffee. Her phone exploded with notifications. Hundreds of them. Tags, mentions, direct messages. Her screen was a blur of alerts. Confused, she opened Instagram. Her feed was filled with posts from my wedding. Photos of the stunning ballroom. Images of me in my beautiful gown. Videos of guests celebrating. She scrolled and scrolled, unable to process what she was seeing. How could Kendra afford the Liberty Hotel? How could she have that kind of wedding? Then she saw the hashtag, #CrawfordWedding. She clicked on it. There were hundreds of posts. She found a video someone had recorded of Ethan's speech. She pressed play. Lydia watched in horror as Ethan introduced himself as a CEO and revealed the value of his company. She watched as he explained why they had kept his wealth a secret. Then came the part where he mentioned her. Kendra's sister Lydia chose to go to Paris instead. She didn't think our wedding was worth attending. Lydia's face burned with embarrassment. The video continued. She watched as the projection screen appeared and the montage of the wedding played. She saw how beautiful everything was, how elegant, how expensive. Then Ethan's pre-recorded message appeared on screen. "Hi, Lydia. Sorry you couldn't make it to Paris. I mean to the wedding." Lydia wanted to throw her phone across the room, but she couldn't stop watching. "This is the Liberty Hotel. 5 stars. The wedding cost about $150,000. Oh, and the honeymoon. We're going to the Maldives for 2 weeks. Private overwater villa." Lydia felt sick to her stomach. "I've been in touch with your company's CEO, Gregory Walsh. Turns out that work trip to Paris wasn't mandatory. You could have moved the dates. You just chose not to." Lydia's hands shook. Her face drained of color. Gregory was friends with Ethan. They went to MIT together. How did she not know this? The video ended. Lydia sat in her luxurious hotel room staring at her phone screen. The comments under the video were brutal. "Imagine skipping your sister's wedding to go to Paris while she married a millionaire. She thought she was too good for the wedding, and now she looks like a fool. The sister who chose Paris over family and missed the wedding of the year." Lydia tried to delete the notifications, but they kept coming. She searched her own name on Instagram and found dozens of posts mentioning her. Screenshots of her this morning's airport post were being shared with commentary. Off to Paris while some people are having their little weddings. This aged like milk. She really called it a little wedding, and it cost $150,000. The level of regret she must be feeling right now. Lydia frantically called my mother. No answer. It was the middle of the night in Boston. She called my father. Voicemail. She called me. straight to voicemail. Ethan and I had turned off our phones. We were in our honeymoon suite celebrating our marriage in private. Desperate Lydia sent me a text message. "Why didn't you tell me he was rich?" No response. She sent another. "This is so embarrassing. Everyone is laughing at me." Still no response. She opened her Instagram and saw that the comments on her Paris posts from the past few months were being flooded with new remarks. Under her photo of the designer dresses she bought for Paris, someone had written, "All that money spent on Paris when you could have been at the wedding of the century." Under her post about booking the Plaza Athénée, someone commented, "5-star hotel, but 0 class for skipping your sister's wedding." Lydia tried deleting the posts, but it was too late. Screenshots had been taken. Her words were immortalized online. The mockery would follow her for a long time. In a panic, she called her boss, Gregory Walsh. It was Sunday morning in Paris, which meant it was early Sunday morning in Boston as well. But Lydia didn't care. The phone rang 4 times before Gregory answered. "Lydia, it's Sunday morning," he said groggily. "I know, I'm sorry," Lydia stammered. "But I need to ask you something. Do you know Ethan Crawford?" "Ethan? Of course. We went to MIT together." "Great guy. Brilliant mind." "Why?" "He married my sister yesterday." Lydia said, her voice small. There was a pause. "That was your sister?" he asked. "Congratulations. That was quite a wedding from what I saw on social media." "I wasn't there," Lydia admitted. "I was told the Paris trip was mandatory." Another pause. This one longer. "Lydia, we talked about this. I said the conference in Paris would be beneficial for your career development, but I never said it was mandatory. You asked to extend the trip for vacation days. I approved it, but it was your choice to go." Lydia felt like the ground had disappeared beneath her. "But I thought—" "You chose to go," Gregory said firmly. "That's fine, but don't blame the company for a personal choice. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's 5 in the morning here, and I'd like to get back to sleep. We'll talk when you return." He hung up. Lydia sat on her hotel bed, surrounded by luxury, feeling completely alone. Ethan had been telling the truth. The trip hadn't been mandatory. She had chosen Paris over my wedding, and now everyone knew it. Ethan and I left for our honeymoon on Sunday afternoon. We flew first class to the Maldives and spent 2 weeks at the Soniva Johnny Resort. Our overwater villa had a slide that went directly from the bedroom into the ocean. We had our own infinity pool, a personal butler, complete privacy. I didn't check social media for the entire 2 weeks. I didn't want to know what people were saying or how Lydia was reacting. I just wanted to enjoy being married to the man I loved. We spent our days snorkeling in crystal clear water, reading on our private deck, and watching sunsets that painted the sky in shades of pink and orange. One evening, as we floated in our private pool under a canopy of stars, Ethan asked me if I regretted the video. "No," I said, without hesitation. Lydia needed to understand that actions have consequences. "I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself," he said, pulling me close. "I learned from you," I replied. "You showed me it's okay to set boundaries and demand respect." When we returned to Boston, everything had changed. Ethan had purchased a penthouse in the Seaport district before the wedding as a surprise for me. It was a 3-bedroom apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Boston Harbor. The kitchen had marble countertops and top-of-the-line appliances. The master suite had a walk-in closet bigger than my old studio apartment. I made the decision to leave my job at the library. It had been a good job, and I loved it, but I wanted to pursue a master's degree in library science. I had always put off graduate school because I couldn't afford it. Now, with Ethan's support, I could finally follow that dream. I enrolled in a program at Simmons University and started classes in the fall. As for Lydia, she came back from Paris, but we didn't hear from her. My parents told me she was quiet and withdrawn. She had stopped posting on social media entirely. All of her Paris photos had been deleted. Her Instagram grid now had gaps where those posts used to be. 2 months after the wedding, my parents called to tell me that Lydia had quit her job at Luxe Beauty. She couldn't handle working under Gregory anymore, knowing that he was friends with Ethan and had seen everything that happened. She moved to New York City, claiming she needed a fresh start in a place where nobody knew about the wedding. I felt a twinge of sadness when I heard the news. Despite everything, Lydia was still my sister. But I didn't reach out to her. I had spent my whole life trying to earn her approval and acceptance. I was done with that. If she wanted to rebuild our relationship, she would have to make the first move, and it would have to be genuine. My parents adjusted to the new reality. They became more attentive to me, more interested in my life. Dad started calling every week just to check in. Mom invited Ethan and me over for dinner regularly and treated him like a son. They apologized multiple times for not seeing how dismissive they had been of my accomplishments over the years. They promised to do better. Ethan's company continued to grow. Neuralink Solutions landed several major contracts with Fortune 500 companies. The company's value increased. We attended charity galas and business dinners. I met governors and CEOs and brilliant entrepreneurs. But Ethan never changed. He still drove his old Camry sometimes just because he liked it. He still wore jeans and sneakers on weekends. He still met me at the library to browse the shelves, even though I didn't work there anymore. He was the same person I fell in love with, just without the secrecy. 1 year after our wedding, 2 significant things happened. First, I completed my first year of graduate school with a 4.0 GPA. Second, Google made an offer to acquire Neuralink Solutions for $250 million. Ethan and his partners accepted the deal. Overnight, Ethan's net worth jumped significantly. Also that year, I found out I was pregnant. We were going to have a baby. I was terrified and excited and overwhelmed all at once. Ethan was over the moon. He immediately started planning the nursery and reading parenting books. When we announced the pregnancy to my parents, they cried tears of joy. We posted the announcement on social media with a simple photo of baby shoes next to our wedding photo. 3 days later, I received a text message from an unknown number. It said, "Congratulations on the baby." I knew immediately it was from Lydia. She must have changed her phone number when she moved to New York. I stared at the message for a long time. There was no apology, no acknowledgement of what she had done. Just those 4 words. I didn't respond. I showed the message to Ethan. He asked what I wanted to do. I thought about it carefully. Part of me wanted to reach out to try to repair our relationship for the sake of the baby. But a bigger part of me knew that Lydia hadn't changed. She was only reaching out now because I was having a baby, another milestone she felt obligated to acknowledge. But she still hadn't taken responsibility for missing my wedding. She still hadn't apologized for the years of making me feel inferior. Maybe one day we'll reconnect, I told Ethan, but today isn't that day. I need her to understand what she did and why it was wrong. Until then, I'm okay with the distance. People always ask me if the video was too harsh, if I went too far by exposing Lydia like that in front of everyone. If I should have been the bigger person and just let it go. My answer is always the same. No, I don't think I went too far, and here's why. Lydia had spent years making me feel small. She made me believe that my accomplishments didn't matter. She competed with me over everything, and always made sure I knew she had won. When I got engaged, she couldn't just be happy for me. She had to find a way to make it about her, to diminish my joy. She deliberately booked a trip to Paris during my wedding weekend. She posted about it publicly, mocking my special day before it even happened. She called my wedding a little ceremony, implying it wasn't worth her time. But here's what she didn't understand. Worth isn't measured by money. It's measured by character. And while Ethan has plenty of money, what made me fall in love with him was his kindness, his integrity, his genuine heart. He didn't need to flash his wealth to feel important. He was secure enough in himself to let people underestimate him. Lydia judged him without knowing him. She judged me without seeing me. And that video we played at the reception, it wasn't revenge. It was a mirror. It showed her exactly who she had become. Someone so caught up in appearances and status that she missed what really mattered. Someone so jealous of her own sister that she chose Paris over family. I don't need Lydia's approval anymore. I don't need her to validate my choices or celebrate my wins. Because I finally learned the most important lesson of my life. The only person who needs to believe in you is you. When you know your worth, when you understand that you deserve respect and love and celebration, other people's opinions lose their power over you. If you have someone in your life who constantly makes you feel less than who mocks your happiness, who can't celebrate your successes, I want you to remember something. You don't owe them access to your joy. You don't owe them explanations. You don't owe them anything. It's okay to set boundaries. It's okay to demand better. It's okay to walk away from toxic relationships, even if they're family. My sister chose Paris over my wedding because she thought my life wasn't impressive enough to warrant her attention. And I chose myself over her judgment. That choice, that moment of standing up for myself, was the best decision I ever made. It freed me from decades of trying to earn love from someone who was never going to give it freely. So, if you've ever been underestimated, overlooked, or dismissed by someone who should have supported you, I see you. I understand. And I'm here to tell you that your moment will come. The moment when you realize you're enough, exactly as you are. The moment when you stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. The moment when you choose your own happiness over someone else's ego. That moment changed my life. I hope it changes yours too. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a family member miss an important event in your life? How did you handle it? Drop your stories in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because I love sharing these real-life stories with you. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that they're worth celebrating, no matter what anyone else thinks. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of this community. I'm sending you all love and strength as you navigate your own family dynamics. Remember, you deserve to be celebrated. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be loved for exactly who you are. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next story.